Welcome back. So now is the time where we finally get to start actually writing some code, and we're going to start by talking about HTML. In the next unit, we're going to cover a lot of different parts of HTML. We're going to learn by the end how to write simple HTML documents and understand the difference between closing and self-closing tags. Tags with attributes. You want to definitely use ambient alot, which you have already seen. And at the very end, I will give you an image of a web page, and you should be able to write the corresponding HTML. So translate an image to actual code. So we're going to start by talking a little bit about HTML's history. So again, it stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML is the structure and content of a page, not the styling, not the interactivity, just the structure and content. Back in the academic community in the year 1989, there's not exactly a hard start date to HTML, but in that time basically people were exchanging papers, giant thesis papers, scientific documents and technical documents, and they all have a very specific formatting, but when they are being exchanged, there was no way to actually send that formatting across the internet. Let's say you wanted to have a paper that looked like this. And this is the style guide that I found on writing scientific papers. So let's just take that abstract section. So your abstract look like there's a heading here. It's a little bolded and bigger text. We have got this sort of introduction to one part of the abstract, and then a bunch of bullet points. We have got italicized and bolded text, and then it looked like a link to the another part of the paper. And lastly, we have got some nested bullet points. So this information, if I want to send this to somebody, but all that I could send is text. So I can't send an image of this. I can't send like the actual structure of it. All I can send is some text. So that might look something like this. The problem is, how do I take this text here, which is the same text as over here, and how do I code the structure? How do I say this abstract here, which actually don't have here, but if I added that, how would I say that this is bold and bigger text, and so is function, and there's a bullet point right here and another bullet point right here. So that is what HTML let us do. It let us take content, and just by writing some other text on top of it, it let us specify exactly. This is a heading, this is bold, this is italicized, this is a link, and the last part, link, is actually really important. That's where the name comes from, Hypertext Markup Language, because HTML allows us to create hyperlinks, and linking document together is really important. Many scientific papers are going to be referencing other scientific papers, footnotes, and all sort of citations. HTML facilitated that and made a really big impact, and then basically caught on. People realize it's pretty cool. It's not very intimidating thing, so moved kind of away from purely academic situations to kind of broader use all the way up to MySpace. If you remember MySpace, or if you ever had a MySpace, you could actually edit your profile just by writing HTML. So there are people who are absolutely not technical, and they were still able to write HTML and CSS to add some interesting features to the page, to make some customized visuals. Okay, let's keep that in mind. We have this giant thing of text that we want to be able to encode some structure, and I want to say this is bold, or this is a bullet point, and so on. HTML allows us to do that using HTML tags. So what we basically do is we take some content in the middle and we sandwich it between an opening and closing tag. This let me specify the specific part of the page or of the paragraph that I can say right in between these two tags is bold, right in between these two tags is link, right between these two is italicized text, and so on. So I'll show you that we could go through here and decide. Okay, this is going to be a heading on our page, and we will wrap it in an h1 tag, which we haven't introduced yet. We will get there, but now let's just specify that this is the largest heading on our page. The next thing we might want to do is make this text bolded here. So the way that we make things bolded, there's a few of the simplest one. The simplest one is to wrap it between something called a B tag to say that it's bold. For those who know HTML, the B tag is actually on its way out. It's being deprecated, which means that you're not supposed to use it anymore. It works just fine. There's an alternative way of doing this we'll discuss in a little bit. Likewise, I might want to say something, let's say a separate paragraph. So I wanted to add some spacing between this line and the next line. So I add a paragraph, and what that will do is whatever's between these two tags goes on its own line and has basically written on either side. So as you can see, the general rule applies to all the tags that we have seen, or we had an h1 or bold tag or paragraph tag. Don't focus on the tag himself just yet. We are going to have plenty of videos discussing individual ins and outs of all the tags, but again, remember this pattern. We have tag name, starting tag name, closing, some content in between. Okay, in the next video, we are going to actually make a new real HTML file, not just a scientific document, some text, but a real file. And we're going to open it in the browser and actually see the HTML. Thank you for watching.